Good evening, my YouTube friends. Oh, wait, no, that's Eric. Arty Foddy here. Wait, nope, that's not the right greeting. I'll just say hello. Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Wacky Weekend Lite, the show that stars Arty's Zero, except Arty's not here. He's here in spirit and some other form as well. So how's everybody doing on that side of the camera? We've got Attila Varga is here. Some of you knows Arty quite well. Randall Ellison is here. Nice to see you. We have John Benicki, Chris from the Valley. We have Hot Dog Pilot Andy. Great to see you. I think I already double checked the sound after yesterday's little mishap. I am in the middle of a couple of things. For example, some people might know that when I was at Getz, my dearly kind-hearted friend, well, a lot of dear kind-hearted friends, but my friend Mark from Model Railway Fantasia, who could not come to Getz and really wanted to, but just couldn't. He, as a gift, sent me a whole bag of 3D print stuff. And one of the things he sent me is this little tower. And he included windows, but technically not enough. He sent me 10 windows and it needed, he sent me 8 windows and it needed 10. And then I have just been using my spare stuff from all kinds of models to fill in all the other things. I still have to coat this, so I haven't done the windows. I want to primer this, and then I'll install the glazing. Hey, Mark from Zantech, how are you? Nice to have you here. Nice day here, getting blown. That's the kind of stuff we don't need to be sharing on a public. You know, whatever you and the people you pay are doing, that should be kept off channel, Attila. You know, that's just, I don't brag about for me, so let's not just, you know. But anyhow, I got this, and he sent me this other building too, but this building didn't come with a roof or windows to attach. So again, I have just been kit bashing all the spare bits from other model buildings. I have all kinds of boxes. I mean, this is just some right here. This is just some of my spare bits. I've got, about 10 boxes like this filled with leftover bits from various building kits and construction kits and so forth. Did I see Greg? Greg from Midsummer is here. You think Attila means it's windy? I know what he means, but why let what they intended to say get in the way of a very good naughty joke? I work in blue humor, which is why some people don't like my channel, because I get blue, as we say in the comedy world. I can be very naughty in humor. All you have to do is watch my cowboy series on this channel. And by the way, if you're a new subscriber to me, go check out. There are some people here, including my friend Randall, who's in the basement. I see you there, Randall. I'll bring you up in a couple of minutes. Who love my cowboy series, Matt Clark, Railroad Marshal. And the thing is, if you want to get into Matt Clark, you really have to watch episode 1 of season 1. There are 3 seasons and 3 Christmas specials. But it is a serial, which means you have to, you know, you can watch season 3, but certain things won't make sense because they're referencing season 2 and season 1. You know, you got to watch them all. But anyhow, yeah, so Mark sent me this building. This one has a roof on it, which I sat over here. But I have started working on these. So, Mark, I am working on these. But he sent me the top. It is a sort of a German observation tower thing. With a little bit of work, this could have actually been the water tower from Delmenhorst, except it would have to be double this height. But yeah, so that will go together nicely. I'm not going to glue the roof on until I have painted this and put in the glazing on the windows. I think I'm going to paint this in the Delmenhorst water tower colors just for the hell of it. But this one didn't have a roof. So I don't know if it was just a building he was messing on. I actually have spare parts of roofs, and I can probably scratch build one anyhow. So I'm just trying to decide what to do with that building, because really it's almost, it's got a front door here. So but I don't think that's wide enough to have been like a little rail shed. So it's just some sort of, I think it's like a garage. So I'll try to set it up as a garage, like a small fire department or something like that. But anyhow, hello, Philip, and JD is here. Hello, Philip Bender. How are you? Yeah, it does look like a checkpoint from the old Berlin Wall days as well. It could do that. It could easily be that. But I think he told me, well, I know he told me that it was a rail observation thing. Not that I've ever seen one on the Delmenhorst to Bremen line, which is what I've recreated here, but I will find a place for it somewhere, somehow. Well, if it is an extension from the main tower, that could easily be. It definitely fits there, like a guy could walk out from that door there. But either way, it still needs a roof. So yeah, if it goes like that together, that actually could be a fire department building too. But yeah, it's got a truck there. So I'll ask Mark more clarification on it. But I just want him to see I am starting to work on things. So there's that. The other thing I've been working on is I showed this a couple of weeks ago. This is one of the little vehicles I got from Herb. And I converted it from analog to digital, so it now has the decoder in it. And it works fine. It ran on not this past Friday's live stream, but the previous Friday's live stream. And it handled the 3 hours and ran beautiful. The only thing I'm still trying to sort out, and I don't know if there's a easy way to do this, but there is a small issue, and I don't know if I have a camera to bring it up. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the chat real quick. Let me activate this. The problem is that's what I was doing, but I ran out of time. Let's go Airplane CS3. See why that dude is running when he shouldn't be. There we go. Turn him off. That works. Okay. So now we're golden. So apparently I forgot to stop a car from running. But anyhow, down here. The issue we're fighting is, and I got to just get this on my Central Station 3. Oh, that's right. It would be 363. Where are you, dude? Maybe one more up. Yep, there he is. Okay. So I don't know how well I can show this to you. As you, whoops, shaky hands McGee, people. As you can see, there is a light on. Now, if I switch direction, this light should come on, but doesn't. Now, see, if I touch it, it comes on. It's not a loose wire. It's that the casing, the thin casing that the bulb screws into, over the years, you know, it's one of those, I really can't bring it in too close. I'll try to slide it in here. Maybe you guys can see better. But it's a really thin little aluminum socket here. And that socket, that socket is too loose. And I've tried tightening it up, but it's too loose. So when the bulb goes in there, the bulb only moves a little bit and it loses the contact point at the bottom. So I got to figure out a way to tighten that up. And what I'm going to try to do, but I don't know, I don't like to try to do that live, is I'm going to take one of these twist ties and see if I push the bulb in further and then use the twist tie and tighten it on there and then snip the ends off. If that will solve the problem on the bulb. But I will, if I do work on that, I'll work on that a little bit later in the show today, because I do not like working on camera, because I would be ignoring everything. And then, well, it's not good for the host to ignore the audience. But that's it. I'm going to pop that off. The problem is the cameras I use would not fit in there. I need to start investing in the new little micro cameras, but that would be a great idea. Unfortunately, all my cameras would be too big to fit in that tower. So someday I'll start upgrading all my cameras, because you can see all my cameras. Like you can see just beyond the windmill, there's a camera in that corner, and then there's a camera in that corner. And then there's one camera up there on the post and another camera right down there. And then this camera right here. And immediately on the other side of that camera is another camera there. Another camera way up there in the corner. I don't know how well you can see that with my shaky hand, but there's a camera in that corner. There's a camera right there. There's another camera. This is what's known as the joist cam. Oh my God, that hand is so shaky today. But that is the joist cam. And then there's the 11 lane cam right there. And then, whoops, way in the back there. I'm going to make y'all sick. It's kind of hard to see, but it's on a block of wood. There's one up in the corner, but there's another one below in the corner right there. So there's just cams everywhere. It is a screw-in type bulb, Andy. It is a screw-in type bulb, and the problem is that the mount that it screws into is one of those old-fashioned, very thin aluminum or what have you, split half bits. And as time has gone by and bulbs have been replaced over the years, that metal has been stretched out, split apart. And even if you squeeze it together, as soon as you put the bulb in, it stretches out again and the bulb does not sit in there snugly. So what I want to do is put something in there and twist it. Hallo Ian, wie geht's, wie steht's? I know that's German, but unfortunately that's the closest to Dutch I'll get without using my... So yeah, it's a threaded bulb, and it is the right replacement bulb for that. It is the actual bulb was dead, but Herb sent me a ton of replacement bulbs along with all kinds of replacement parts, and I happened to find a spare one in there. We put it in, it worked. We were all happy, but every time we put the lid on it, when we put the shell back on it, it stops working. Because the other thing I had to do was that the lights in here, the bulbs are, let me see if I could show this to you. The bulbs are here and here. Oh, I'm not up on camera, I'm sorry. The bulbs are here and here, but the lights on the shell are actually down here. Oh my God, why am I not on camera? Down here, and then another one up here, and another one up there. They're nowhere near the bulbs. So as always, when that's the situation, companies use those little plastic tubes. So you can see them in the roof there. There are plastic tubes there as well as plastic tubes right here. These plastic tubes, they guide the light to it. So these tubes here, yes. Oh, you're waving?
Waving to people.
Joey says hi, everybody. So all of these were either missing or broken in this. And so I ordered them, and lo and behold, Miraklin still had them, partly because this model has been in production nonstop for 60 years or more. So Miraklin sent me, I had to order them, but Miraklin sent me the new plastic light rods, and they take the rods to there. So actually, it's working wonderfully. I just got to solve that bulb problem. Ja, LED-Licht ist besser, genau, aber ich muss dann alles wieder nachrüsten. I would have to totally redo the wiring and add resistors and such to that. So it's just easier to go ahead and use the current system, and that way I don't have to do a massive amount of modification. All right, Randall, I'm going to be bringing you up here now. I was just kind of showing what I've been doing. You can buy the lamp lightings. They don't make the models with them, but you can buy them as an accessory, or they come as an accessory. So anyhow, let's welcome Randall to the stage. Randall, you're on if you're out there.
Hey, guys.
So what's up, Randall? Are you on the work site or are you at home?
No, I'm at home right now.
Well, that's good. Nice review. If people didn't see, Randall did a review of a locomotive. That's one you got recently, or just one back?
That was one that came the other day, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Now, what was that model again? It was really cool, but I can't.
That was an F7A. That was a.
Okay, it was an F7.
So the F units basically start with the FT and then go all the way up to the F9, and that's a 4-axle streamline body locomotive. Yeah, I don't have it out here on the front porch with me, but
right. Well, I like the livery on it. I mean, that's the first thing that sells me. I mean, is livery, because there are locomotives I would consider ugly, but then the livery on them makes them cool looking.
Yeah. Well, the F unit is one of those engines where you could put any scheme on it, will look good. So, and you can throw the E units in there, which are the 6-axle variant, but yeah, they just look really, really good. In fact, BM1, that's actually a very real engine. That the prototype, I think, is at the Railroad Museum in Illinois, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, it's a really good looking engine. And the Athearn, this new Athearn roundhouse, this is basically a completely retooled from the rails up version of the Blue Box F7. And you probably saw the BN ones that I had, the Cascade Green ones, which also appeared in the video. But yeah, it's a fully new retooled engine. It's a lot finer details. It's a good looking engine. LED lighting, 21-pin DCC connector. Good solid model from Athearn.
Oh yeah, it was a really sharp model, and
yeah.
What is always so great about your reviews is that you always grab another version of the model, either an older version or what have you, and do comparisons. Like, this is what they've changed, this is how they've upgraded. So I think that stuff is just brilliant.
Well, I appreciate that, and that was one thing I wanted to do with that model when I reviewed it, was actually put the Blue Box version next to the new version, where people can see for themselves the difference from the old to the new. Now, I didn't want to make it sound like I was bashing the old model, because the old models are just tanks and they run forever. But you can really see how much finer. How do I want to say this? How much finer the detail on the new body is compared to the old engine.
Well, yeah, but there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean,
you're not criticizing quality. The stuff that was made back in the day was made usually, hopefully, to the best of the standards at the time, and then the stuff today.
The F7, the Blue Box F7, for what it is, it's a very good model. It still holds up well today. They're just tanks, and like I said, that version as the Athearn Roundhouse really gives a great callback to that Blue Box model, the Superpower Drive model. Even the weight is very similar. So I'll turn my camera on. I do have a train running, so I was just putting some different cars on.
When you were buying Blue Box models. Anyhow, Andy, no, my cats have, for the most part, stayed away from my trains. The only issue I have had with the cats and my trains is if they are hiding, like if my daughter leaves the door to that room open, they'll go in there and sleep on her chair. And then I don't know they're in there, so I go in there to get tools because that's where all my house tools are. I'll go in there and they will startle, and then they'll run, and instead of running upstairs, they run under my table, but they don't go on the train layout side. They go under this side because there's nothing in their way. Cats do tend to take the path of least resistance, even if they have to create their own path of least resistance. So I'm going to have to get a pair of pliers for that. Just to try to twist that tight. But even in just mold making, it's beyond just, I'm answering Arty here. Attila. The technology with plastic has changed so much since the 80s. Yeah, it has, but even in mold design to make metal, because again, almost all of Merklin's locomotives are more than 80% metal, 75-80% metal. They are at least the only thing where they go heavy in plastic is rolling stock and their high-speed trains. Just like I've got my Czech Railjet here. Now this is a Roco, but it's the same idea. This is a Pico locomotive, and the locomotive is metal, other than some plastic parts on the detailing is, some of the detailing is plastic, but the chassis and the shell are metal, and the motor is metal, and the gears are metal. But the cars that go with it, these are predominantly plastic, very little metal on them, except for the wheels. The wheels tend to be metal.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at the way Athearn did this model, I don't want to say they fixed, but they improved on the shell over the old model, but also at the same time they didn't fix what wasn't broke. I mean, because you can take the old Athearn Blue Box shell, which is actually, if I read it right, is the old Glow model shell, and you take that shell and put it on the new chassis. So that's a big thing right there, that it has that versatility.
And Chris, I agree, because that Scott Rail 68 I have, that shell is metal. That is a metal shell. That is die cast. It's a very weighty locomotive. It probably weighs more than most of my HO locomotives. I have a few that are probably heavier, but I would say that weighs more than most. Now, granted, it is a 10% increase in size, or actually a 12% increase in size. But still, it's an impressive weight. But it is just like, and that's a day pole or dapple. But yeah, like my all my American locomotives, steam, diesel, and electric, they're all metal shells and metal chassis. But yeah, I mean, as technology's gone, because it, and again, this can be a whole discussion, and I've seen it discussed many times on UK channels and in German, in some German channels. So the Germans just accept it. But American and UK and Canadian channels that I follow, and even Australian channels I follow, they will talk about how, the industry is catering to the rivet counters to a degree, and it's all about getting as much detail, make it as detailed as possible. But I don't know if that is catering to the rivet counters as much as it is everything in technology today is about the details. Whether you get a computer, whether you get so from the home, it's more about all the, making it shinier, spiffier, fancier, more realistic. But that comes with a price, and that price is a higher price.
That's what I've always said, Anthony. The more detail you put in engine, the more electronics you put into them, the more everything you put into them, that's going to drive the cost up. There's no way around it.
And hello, Steve. And I just watched your video before I came on live. A lot of nice little kit there. You spent a small fortune at all the different shows and shops you went to. But Steve87 has a new video up there. But here's the thing. And this is where, if you wanted to kind of be critical of the companies, all right, is they all have their old molds. And the price of a locomotive or any model train stuff is in the design, the research, and the development. And there's nothing stopping, well, actually, Hornby pretty much still does it, but there's nothing stopping Märklin and Aethern and everybody else from going back and calling it a heritage line as a joke or whatever, and using the old molds and injecting them, whether plastic or metal, and releasing the less fancy, less detailed model stock. They're not paying anything in research and development. All they're paying for is cost of material. And put those in production line and sell them at a lower price point. And that way you can keep both sides of the hobby happy. The people that want the $80, $90, $100 locomotive, and still put out the stuff for the people like me that will pay $300 to $400 for the nicely detailed, heavily digital locomotive.
But there's also this thing I've been seeing too, and I don't really want to call it a warring of the two sides. Maybe more like a disagreement, where you have this one side that thinks everything should be highly detailed, that the lower tier stuff, like the scale trains operator SD40s that's run on this layout, and the Aethern F7 I reviewed, I've literally seen comments where people would say they should just stop making that and only make highly detailed stuff. Well, the problem is, you do that, you're going to drive away a large portion of your customer base, which is only going to drive the price up even higher of the higher detailed stuff, because they're having to recoup what they're losing.
Yep.
So,
and picking up on some of the comments here, yeah, and let's understand something here. Just by adding a bunch of details on the outside should not affect how it operates inside.
Yep.
Brava, the company Brava, is a great example of this. They put every last detail in, and Brava, it is Everything is applied. There, the only thing molded is the shell of the locomotive. The tail light, well, not the headlights and tail lights, but the windshield wipers, the door handles, all the wiring, the handrails, everything is applied secondary, and it's everywhere. And it can be fragile because they put even the finest things are not molded. So if you grab it too strong or grab it and slide your finger across it, you can snap off a door handle or something like that. They're very fragile on the outside, but their mechanics of them on the inside run wonderfully, at least in my experience with the Bravas I've had. The fragility on the inside is when the companies are spending so much money to make them digital and make them fancy, they cut corners. And anybody who works with or knows the housing industry understands this. Houses built 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago may not be as pretty and spacious and fancy as houses built today, but if you get into the bones of the houses that are new construction today versus construction from 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, the stuff behind the drywall is better in houses a long time ago, with the exception of some safety code issues they didn't have to follow that they have to follow today. Well, I look at so many new construction houses and they are built so crappy, but they put up the drywall, they pay the paint, they've got all the fancy wiring, satellite cable, and this, that, everything. The house is all wired up with special, that cosmetically it's beautiful. But if you get underneath, they did not properly install insulation, they didn't properly weatherproof, they did not toenail properly, they did not put in the correct beams in the right place. But you, the home buyer, never see that. And most home building agencies are amalgamated companies that come together, build a housing development, and then they disband the company so that all the warranties that they have to offer by law are invalid because the company doesn't exist anymore. And there's no laws to prevent them from doing that. So they cut corners everywhere that you can't see. And this is what happens with a lot of model trains, is they'll cut corners in the areas you can't see. They'll make it pretty on the outside, but it's ugly on the inside. Sort of like some of those fake housewives from whatever. Hey, Monsville, how are you? Great to see you. And did I see DES Productions is in? Hello, hello, hello. So yeah, it's a very, very, you pick your poison, and prices are like everything. Prices go up. Car prices are up. House prices are up. Prices are up. Prices in many areas don't need to be up, but the companies can jack up the prices because they have no controls on them. We're going to charge $200, and the companies will do that too. As Maryland's very expensive, but Maryland since 2012, so that's 12 years now. The 2024 numbers haven't been released, of course, because they still have a month. But Maryland's been in the black for 12 years after 15, 20 years of being in the red. The company has been turning a profit, selling their $300, $400, $500, $600 locomotives and train sets, and that they are making money. They are turning a profit, a big profit. I don't know how other companies are doing. I keep hearing that Hornby is struggling financially. But again, to me, I see certain companies do cut a lot more corners. I think Hornby does cut a lot of corners in a lot of places where and still charge a certain price. I mean, for example, everybody saw my Beetle Wagon. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. Nobody saw my Beetle Wagons video. But those are $5. Those are $5 cars, and maybe $5 on the license on top of that. You could sell those cars for $15 and make a profit, but they charge 21 to 26, 27 pounds. In the United States, they're $30 to $40 when they get over here, which the last four never did. And yeah, longer production. I mean, but again, companies do this. I was just showing this guy. American has been releasing a version of this, which is called the V60. They release a version of this every year. Okay? Some are made out of plastic shell like this one. Some are metal shell. So they got a plastic boat. But they're not redoing these. Some of the new parts I had to put in, some of the new plastic parts in here I had to put in are for the new models, but they fit the old ones because they're basically the same. So they're not doing any money in research and development. And I can't speak for Hornby. I can only tell you that in the American world that I'm familiar with, because I'm not familiar with any other world, although I'm gaining experience with Hornby, they've got plenty of old production molds. In fact, American, when they announce their yearly releases, will tell you if it's a new mold or an old mold. And that affects the price for sure. Like, yep, we're releasing another V60. It'll be 170 euros, which is about $175, $180. Because they're not doing any research and development. They're just, the only research and development is sending somebody out to take a picture of the latest livery of it and then making it and releasing it. But, you know, cost of materials are going up. Cost of materials are going up. And, you know, in the end, all increase in prices get passed on to consumers.
And, you know, another thing, these cheaper models, I say
Did I see
cheaper,
promos here?
like this SD40, like these SD40s that's running, and again, the S7 I reviewed, those are basically a one body style fits all paint schemes.
Yep.
So you're not dealing with road specific, error specific, road number specific details. It's just basically a one body, and then you paint it in 30 different paint schemes.
Right. Well, American
So
just did that with the ES44. You know, I showed you some of those, and I showed them on here. American's got 6 different paint schemes of the ES44, but it's all the same model. They just changed the paint.
Yep.
And yet, even the last 2 releases, which they could probably sell for a cheaper price, they sold for the same price or even increased their price 5%, yearly price increase, when the research and development for the initial run, which was the 2 Union Pacifics and a Kansas City Southern, those are the original 3 they did. And since then, they've done Pennsylvania and 2 BNSFs. But the original runs were the 2 Union Pacifics and the Kansas City Southern. And yet, lo and behold, there's, you know, why didn't they drop the price on them? You know, because they didn't have to do any more research other than get a picture and design the paint. Got that one tricky wire that's in there, and when I go to close that, it acts up. Hey, Michael McCarville's here. Good.
Hey, Michael.
Good evening, Michael. Hope you're well.
And hey to everybody in the chat as well.
This is one of those comments, Attila, that is both true and not true. There's plenty of options, but one can get the desire if they search for it. It depends. As anybody who collects on the secondary market will tell you, and I saw this happen in baseball cards, comic books, the toy collecting world, is that as more people get into it, the secondary market goes up in price because more people say, I can't afford the new release stuff. I'm going to go buy old stuff. So the people are like, well, instead of selling this logo I picked up at a garage sale for $5 for $20, I'm going to jack it up to 50 now because I'm going to make money. Because even those guys on eBay, people blame eBay. It's not the company eBay. It's not. it's the guy selling the article smells
Mhm.
a chance to make money. And I don't know what percentage of people you want to say are greedy, but if we say a third to half the people are, if I can make a few extra dollars and rip people off,
Yeah.
To increase my own profit, bam, they do it.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that because I was on eBay here a while back, and there was an Athearn CF7, which is basically a road switcher rebuilt from an F unit. And I don't have photos or one here to show you what they look like, but anyway, Athearn produced that model from the early 2000s up until just a few years ago when the tooling, according to them, became no longer usable, because it was tooling they purchased from Rail Power Products, from their molds. So I saw this engine on eBay, and it had nearly $600 marked on it. Now, to give you some idea what that engine is actually worth, if you could find one in mint condition or very, very good condition, no damage or scuff marks or anything like that, I mean, $130 is probably all of it because it's ready to roll in. It was a ready to roll engine at the time. And of course, now they're just the Athearn line, but it was at best a mid-range model for the era it was produced in. So, I mean, you're talking $130 at max.
Yep.
So, and here they are selling it for almost 5 times that. So,
Right. Because the number one rule is something is only worth what somebody will pay for it. And yes, it's not uncommon for something in the comic book world, the toy world, to be collectible. And it's hard to find. Everybody wants it. So the price goes way over. Even, I mean, let's face it, a 1970 Dodge Challenger or Charger costs more today than it did when it came out. It was $2,000 when it came out in 1970. $2,500 in 1970. And now if you can find a working Dodge Challenger for under $20,000, buy it now, because normally they're $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 if they're in full running condition.
Yep.
The same car that was $2,500 is now worth, and in fact, Dodge Challengers in the secondary car market are the most upgraded in price. In other words, the exponential increase in price is the highest compared to any other car in the collectible world. When you take them all, like a Mercedes 350S versus, Porsche 911 or Porsche Carrera from their initial release run, the Dodge Challengers are marked up on the aftermarket at the highest rate. 4 or 5,000% of their original list price, and so they hold the record. I believe that is a record in the Guinness, the aftermarket, the Guinness Book of World Records. The car worth the most secondary price versus initial bought price across the board. There's always that person who bought a car for $3,000 and now it's plated in gold and it's worth $10 million. But on general, hey, Thomas Keys, welcome in.
Yeah, I think you get them things in front of the right people and they can bring 6 figures. I mean, certain models of Dodge Challengers and Chargers.
Yeah, if you try to set up an eBay store, yeah, they take their chunk. Of course they do. They're a business and they're providing a service to you. I've sold things on eBay and not paid more than a couple of pennies to eBay for it. But they get their cut. But yes, in the long run, if you're going to try to sell a lot of stuff, it's cheaper to start your own company. Unfortunately, your own company doesn't necessarily get the draw that being on eBay does, because eBay will list your stuff or put it in the suggestions of people. Like, I'm looking for model train buildings. If I type in model train buildings on Google, what are the chances I'm going to find McCarville Studios? But if you have a store on eBay and I go to eBay and or I can go to Google or eBay and type in model train buildings, you're likely to come up on my suggestion list because that's the thing they have. So how do you get your stuff out there? It's word of mouth. It's people like me who knew you, saw something you put on a video and said, I like that, and bought it and say, wow, these are great models. And then I go on my live stream and say, hey, if you want Old West, Western, Americana laser kit models, Mike McCarville makes great ones. If you want mini figures, go to Bernard at Mini Prints, because you see what they do, you know them. And then you hope the word of mouth spreads through the community and you get the business, or you have to advertise. You get free advertising through product reviews in magazines. That's good because again, it gets word of mouth because how much did you have to do? Now, again, if you know somebody like, hey, I know this guy or I know these people, I met them at this show, we're friends, and they happen to also work for this magazine. Yeah, word of mouth is great. Speaking of magazines, I'm waiting to see if Joyce and I actually appear in a British magazine. We'll see if it happens. Model Railroader, I don't know, whichever one Steve Flynn operates. But I seriously doubt we're going to, but a couple of people were being, there's a good chance. Way too much to type. Yeah, the problem is, Attila, that 50% off was still more expensive than what I would get from Lipa. And again, most of the stuff that guy was selling was 2-rail, not 3-rail. Oh, absolutely, Thomas. We can always find better deals. Always. Put in the footwork and go to garage sales. But again, sometimes you're looking for something specific. And you can't guarantee you got a friend who's going to dump that. But you now have people, for example, Brian Finn from Finnerton Central, and Mr. X, their little shop, model train sets, they go and pick up super cheap or are given stuff for free. They fix it up, make sure it works, and they're selling it for a pittance. I've already bought 3 different things off of them for amazing prices. I got an ICE. I got an HST 125 swallow livery, with the 43 ends on it. I got that for I think I paid 40 pounds for that, plus another 20 shipped to the United States. I wasn't going to find it on eBay for that price in working order. And that's a 5-car set for 40 pounds. That's $8 a car. You can't beat that. Oh, I didn't know people were calling Walters evil, but I don't have a negative opinion of Walters at all. I think they seem to have a reputation that their instructions for their model buildings aren't always the most thorough. But then again, a lot of people choose not to read instructions or read them carefully. So I don't know. I bought a couple of Walters kits and I didn't see anything wrong with it. But a lot of the stuff Walter sells just like Woodland Scenics, are made by other companies who just re-license it to guys. Like a lot of the Walters and Woodland Scenic, like Woodland Scenics is old Fowler figures. Woodland Scenics is just old Fowler molds. Stuff that never sold was returned to Fowler, and Fowler gives it to Woodland Scenics, who repackage it and send it out. And yeah, and this is a channel, I will bring this up here. And again, if you have the tech to do it yourself, like Brian, but Monsville, go to their channel, because they get all these old Triang and Hornby, and some of these are just ready for the junkyard, and they fix them up, clean them up, completely replace using their spare parts they have, or they fabricate their own little pieces. Go to the B&Q or whatever, the whatever they need to get, and fix it up and jerry rig it, and bam, they're working. Not everyone is 100% successful, but it's definitely cool to watch. So go to Monsville channel, watch their videos. They don't do how-tos, but they show the different stages as they're doing it. Because like me, I can't work on camera. If I try to fix something on camera, I'm either too focused on the work and ignore the camera, and everything I've done you missed anyhow, or I'm too focused on the camera and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I can't work on camera. Yeah, the thing is, I've seen it in the UK. I can't speak for the United States, but I can say what I've seen in the UK over the years is a lot of people, they commit to this. They do the buy on pre-order. They pay the money up front, and then they wait 2, 3, 4 years, and then the item gets canceled, and then they got to take forever to get their money back. And some of these companies, both in the UK and the US, they're like, well, can we keep your money and you can apply it to something else? And sometimes I start to wonder if some of these companies that do it as a scam. Like they have no intention of ever producing that model, but they get enough people who send them money, and they're like, okay, we've got all this stuff here. Can we talk you into this instead? Or we'll even give you 2 locomotives, because they're sitting around gathering dust in our warehouse. Hey, Forever DC is here. Hey,
one of the things Skill Trains, I think Rapido does this too. They don't, when you pre-order something, they don't charge you until the model arrives in stock.
And that's the way it should be.
So, I know for a fact Athearn also does that. So,
yeah, and so, but I don't know if any companies are still doing that, but I know both from watching American YouTubers and UK YouTubers, where they said, I paid for this 3 years ago, I've been waiting for it, and now they've canceled it. And I've asked for my money back, and they're trying to talk me into buying this. So I don't know if that practice is still going on, or if somebody, in America, we'd call the Better Business Bureau and say, this has got to stop. Because they keep announcing, and they'll say, well, we didn't get enough pre-order sales. Yeah, then give the people their money back. And in fact, be like a bank and get, because I guarantee you, they took that money and they put that money in their bank, and they're making interest on it or whatever else, and a little extra $1,000 a year, on interest. But yeah, to me, that is a really bad scam. It's one thing, like with me, when Miraklin announces something, I pre-order it, and I can cancel my pre-order anytime. I can even refuse to pay for my pre-order. I just lose it. But in the group, my LIPA Premier group I belong to, if I, make too many orders and then cancel and don't pay for it, then I get kicked out of the Premier program and they won't let me pre-order anymore. But yeah, I pre-order, but I don't pay until it arrives. And actually, they don't even automatically deduct. They notify me and they say I have 3 days to pay. It used to be 5 days, but they've cut it down to 3. Yeah, exactly. And I don't have a problem with the theory, Steve, that I think in some ways it might be a smart way for them to do business. How many people want this? Because yeah, research development and so forth is the biggest expense of this. Knowing how much product they're going to have to get and, making the molds, because even a machine that makes the molds start at $100,000. One machine to make one mold. And that's a small machine. The big ones that people like Miracle use, those are multiple hundreds, if not millions of dollars. And then to completely retool them and design a new mold, that's expensive as well. There are costs the average person maybe doesn't truly understand just how much goes into it. You think, oh, they just design it, stamp it, and go. And no, you have to completely redesign the machine, the tool for making the mold. And that's why companies like Miracle make dozens of 103s and 101s and Vectrons right now, because they can just keep using the same mold and changing the paint. Yep, and that's often true. Although I know, again, depending on the run, like Pico, they have a basic mold, and then depending on how much applique, it goes down to a second mold that adds the additional stuff from the hobby level. So basically, they make the basic mold of the shell, and then it goes this way for the hobby level version, and then this way for the expert level version or the collector level version. So they have the one mold, and then they have the secondary mold that then adds additional bits. But yep. And I know, for example, when Acme released the 371, they released the 371 and the 380, and there's really not a lot of difference between the 371 and the 380 in terms of the basic design. So it was made with this basic shell, but then they had different, they machined the basic shell, and then it goes along the production line like a car. And did you order the Dodge Charger RT? Did you order the Dodge Charger this or that? And then so the basic part gets made, and then it goes down different production lines to add the extra stuff that differentiates it from its colleagues. Oh, we had that one up. Okay. Did my chat reset? But in the end, I mean, there's no easy answer. The companies have got to make their money so that they keep making stuff. We make the decision on what we're going to buy. It sucks. Some of us are able to buy more of what we want. Other people, hey, they can only buy maybe 1 or 2 new locos a year. And some people, it's only 2 or 3 new logos from a garage. Everybody's got that, but there's people that, hey, they can only afford 2 or 3 low budget locos a year in their budget, and that's sad. But you can't run the market just for those people, just for the people that can't afford it. You're going to do, most companies, definitely not all, they're in the business to make money, and sometimes they can be short-sighted because they want to make the money now. But some of the smarter companies, they look down the road, they see what the trends are, and they do watch you guys. They watch you guys, and they see what you want. They hear what you want. They go and meet the people who go to the shows, and maybe that's a problem. Is that the companies go to certain shows, but they don't go to the local retailer show. They don't go to the local club show. They go to the big shows and conventions, which only a certain level of model trained people go to that. And maybe that group that goes to the big NMRA show or Amherst, maybe the people who go to that are not representative of the broader population. The people at GET, are they an accurate representation compared to the people who go to the Wilbur Church Railway Show and the other little show up there? Are they? I don't know. Are they representative of the modelers? Are the people that go to Amherst? Because you get a lot of regulars, but there's people that, they can afford to travel to Amherst. And again, there's no easy answer. Yeah, and again, estates. Look in the paper now and then, because as much as we'll bash eBay, for every ripoff on eBay, there's that amazing deal. How many times have I talked about? I bought my Miracle in Rheingold 2017 edition. That was a $1,300 model when it came out. Some places in the U.S. when it came out were selling it for $1,400. I got it for $300. Why? Because some guy's dad or uncle, it may have been his uncle. I usually say it was his dad, but thinking back, it might have been his uncle. And his uncle had passed away and had this huge train collection. And this guy is like, I don't know anything about this. I'm just throwing it all on eBay. He wasn't going to take the time to research. He just threw prices on it and waited for people to buy. And I was just shocked nobody else outbid me on it. I bid up to $500 on it. The starting bid was $300. And I said maximum bid $500 because that was all the money I had at the time. And nobody else bid on it. So I got it for $300. I saved $1,000 on that model.
Yeah. I mean, I've probably told this story a zillion times now, but I went to auctions, estate auctions, and I bought freight cars that were brand new, mint in a box for just literally pennies on the dollar. I mean, I bought a set of tank cars for $5 a pop, and they generally sell for $40 and $50 on most online hobby stores. Let's see. I bought 2 6-pack war cars, and a 4-pack of passenger cars and some Walrus kit, and give $6 for the whole stack. I mean, there's times I bought stuff and just give literally nothing for it, but then I would go to another auction and you couldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
I mean,
sometimes there's a reason somebody has 80 of those at the train show, because nobody wants them.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that, Adela, that, there's just 3 more engines and then I'm done.
Yeah, I keep telling myself that too, Anthony. And then they announce something, I'm like, dang gummits.
Joyce, when I got into the hobby, thought, as long as we stuck to the rule, only trains we had ridden on. But once that rule was broken, and I started buying things that were pretty, and the funny thing with Joyce, the funniest thing with Joyce is she will talk about, you don't need that. You don't need that one. Why do you need that one? You don't need that one. And then we'll go into, especially in Germany, we'll go into these model train shops that she'll point out. She'll go, oh, honey, look at this. That looks kind of cool. And I'm like, you think so? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll get it. She'll be like, yeah, get it. She denies she's into the hobby. She denies it. I'm not in the model train hobby. I just support Anthony. She's not a real fan, or she's not into the train hobby. But her support has led into, she likes to know what the trains are, because if she's around all these men that are going to have that women don't know anything bit, she wants to be ready to, she wants to be ready to thump them in the nose. But yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I've got stuff here, because I was never going to buy a passenger train. Now think about, all of you who follow my channel, think about how many passenger trains and passenger locomotive, or not passenger, freight. I was never going to buy a freight train. Never buy a freight train. I didn't need a freight locomotive. I didn't need freight cars. Now look at how many I have. Think about how many freight locomotives and freight, all the container cars I have, the beer wagons, the tankers. Who started me on that? Joyce did. She was so desperate to surprise me one Christmas, she went and bought she asked around and found what's a good German freight locomotive. And she got me a class 187 because she couldn't find a 185. She got me a class 187 and a bunch of freight cars for Christmas because she wanted to surprise me. Bam. I have freight. And then for my birthday the next year, and for Father's Day, she was like, well, I'll get them some more freight cars to go with that freight train. I would have never bought a freight train in my life. Joyce started it, and that opened the can of worms.
See, I'm actually the exact opposite. I don't really buy a lot of passenger stuff. I run mostly all freight. So
she's in the closet. Maybe. You had finished your collection, and then you've added a few locomotives in the last couple of. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That's Chris. I was seeing Chris's comment above, but I keep saying that's the last one many times. Yeah, Christopher, I had finished my collection until Dave Bull announced the 28XX. Collections are never finished. They're just on hiatus for a while. Okay, hey, is there anybody here not subscribed to our friend Forever DC? He's 3 short of 500 subs.
I think I'm subbed to him.
I'm subbed to him. So if you're here and you're not subbed to our buddy, let me see. You should be, well, it's hard to tell in this world. Yeah, you're knighted, Forever DC. Post a link to your channel and let's get you those 3 subs if we can. And if you could ever pop into my live stream where I have, a few more viewers, we can do it that way. Joyce knows trains all right. You saw that firsthand. I know. She told me a little bit about the story between you and her with that, but I didn't get I never quite got the whole story. But yeah, there is a story there. Joyce said, I was with Christopher and Dino, and Joyce stopped with Andy and Andy's son Richard, and they were talking trades, and Joyce was talking about something, and they're like, oh, she knows. Or Joyce was because she came to me later and said, I showed I knew something about trades. She was quite pleased with herself, well chuffed with herself, as we say. But it's all good. I mean, Joyce is like me. There's one of many things we have in common. We don't like to be, when we get into something we don't know about it, we try to read up and learn as much as we can about it. And when we're with a group of people who are into it, we don't want to feel stupid. So we try to learn what we can. And of course, Joyce she's been to York Railway Museum. She I always talk about how Carl Braun was the last one to leave, and he stayed with us for a long time as we were walking through this one wing of the York National Railway Museum. And she was asking him more questions and pointing out things and asking him about it than I was. She was all this stuff.
And
just ask Waterman, he was there too. I didn't know Pete Waterman was involved. What's that, Randall?
Oh, go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead and finish what you're going to say. I'll wait.
No, I was just asking a question. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say we was talking about this eBay thing. Sometimes you run across really cool stuff on eBay, and if you get to know me well enough, for those that kind of new to the chat, I have a bit of an odd sense of humor, so I kind of like finding stuff on the weird and strange, and that's where this guy comes in. So this is what I jokingly call my Hot Wheels engine. What this is actually supposed to be an Ather Blue Box SDP 40, I think is what it is. But somebody grafted a cab off of a BQ 23-7. I'll have to turn around where you can see the front of it. But yeah, they kind of modify this rather heavily, where it's got this wild looking cab on it, and it's got these dual stacks on it as well. So yeah, it's kind of a wild looking engine. It does run. It just has no headlight or anything like that on it. I gotta rig up something for it. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that just because it's so weird looking. So
Yep, and Tammy and Ray are here. First of all, I think it's a day or two later, but I think Tammy and her husband Philip just celebrated a wedding anniversary. So congratulations on another year of not killing each other.
Hey, Tammy and Ray.
I used to say that about my mom and dad. My mom and dad were married 54 years and they had a love-hate relationship, but people used to say they didn't want to get divorced because they didn't want to take the risk that the other person would find somebody else and be happy. 17 years. See now, what'd she do? What'd she do at Thirlmere? That was the New South Wales Railway Museum. Yeah, well, she was asking questions. You did a running session last night. Just need 2 for the passenger and 1 for a freight train. Any more of the layout will be very crowded. Dude, you've already got closets full. It's already crowded. I can't buy any more trains. My layout would be crowded. You've got 2 closets full. Don't talk to me about. I announced several months ago that there was just no more room to put any more trains, and Joyce was like, "So you're done now?" And I'm like, "No, I'll find a way." I'll find a way. And then I turn around and buy another guy's collection. So I don't know by what percentage my collection increased. I don't know by what percentage it increased. It did not double. It did not double, but the number of steam locomotives definitely almost doubled. Actually, it more than doubled, almost tripled. Oh, Chris, my parents drove each other crazy and then were mad passionate like teenagers, they fought all the time and then they made up all the time. I think they fought to make up. But unfortunately, my mom was clinically insane. She really needed help and never would get it. Joyce definitely was asking more questions. I did not know. Andy, you mentioned it earlier. Did she actually? Okay, you just mentioned. Not sure if Pete Waterman was concurred or not, but you had mentioned Pete Waterman was there. Because Joyce wouldn't know who the hell Pete Waterman is, not as a famous train guy or even as a famous music producer and TV show host. You know, she would not know that. She's more likely to recognize the actors, the still living actors from some of the UK shows. Although I think all the main stars from like Are You Being Served are dead, but like Hello Hello, she would recognize them. But she's not going to recognize, she wouldn't recognize name or face of Pete Waterman. Be honest, 4 years ago, I never heard of Pete Waterman. It was only when Making Tracks started, Making Tracks, Pete Waterman's Making Tracks is going to be at this show. And I'm like, who, what, who is he? Oh, he's a big time record producer and that. He
Did the sound cut out? Oh yeah, I thought maybe it quit on my end there for a minute. Yeah, there's no sound, Anthony. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but oh come on, load up.
I'm trying to sort this
Oh,
out.
there you go. You're back.
Okay, yeah, it just randomly changed my microphone. Sorry about that. I was talking about Pete Waterman. Yeah, it just randomly changed my microphone.
I've had that happen.
Coming up and saying we've lost connection with your mic. It changed it to one of the cameras. I don't know why, but and for all of you saying no sound, I know because I'm getting a big board saying no sound. I'm trying to fix it. Randall, are you hearing me right now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, then they should be hearing me too. Yeah, I don't know why. StreamYard just randomly changed my microphone and went to a microphone on one of the cameras, which in my StreamYard is turned off. Or not my StreamYard. In my OBS, that microphone is turned off. So it was switching to it and then noticed I was trying to talk and then saying, well, your mic is disconnected. Yeah, because I've got it turned off. But why did it, the big thing is, why did it suddenly change to a different microphone? So, yeah, I was getting a big bar across StreamYard going, your mic is off. And that's why I was clicking it, and then it was saying it was on, and I would talk, but it still wasn't coming through. So I had to go back into settings and go, oh, yeah, it's put me on the wrong mic, because I do check the mic before I come on. But freaky things happen.
That is for sure. I've had that happen to me a few times where it would shut my mic off, and
Little gremlins get in there.
yeah.
Little gremlins get in there. It's like, hey, good night, Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us. Always awesome to have you around. One of the super nice people of the YouTube model train community. A person that I wish I could have met over when I was in the UK, but there's always 2026 when Joyce and I go. Speaking of traveling and going, I know it sounds like bragging, but yeah, Joyce and I have just booked everything for our trip to Germany next late spring. We've booked all the main trains. We've booked where we're staying. We booked the flight. We actually got a good price on the flight. So we are all set. All we have to do is survive the next 6.5 months.
And good night, Tammy and Ray, too.
Yeah, so I StreamYard just occasionally, at least with my experience with it, does suddenly decide to change. Yeah, we want you on this microphone now. So I don't know how long before it started having problems did it switch me to that, because I have this microphone, which is what I use, and it had put me on the microphone that goes with that camera. And I had checked to make sure it was on this microphone when I started the live stream, or before I started the live stream. So yeah, it's just technology.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of pain in the butt. I don't know. I would say the problem was somewhere between OBS and StreamYard. I don't think I'd blame Windows for this one. Got gnats.
They're bad around here, too. Of course, they haven't been bad the past couple nights since it got cold.
All right. Good night, Tammy and Ray. If you're standing there in the background watching, take care. Or Ray, if that's Ray. Well, because Tammy responded that she and Philip had been married. Ray and Philip wouldn't have been married for 17 years. You're going back to Austria for the week after Andy's show. I see. Gotcha. Just keep going to Austria. No, last year. Well, yeah, it was last year. It was 2023. It was a year and a half ago, but it was last year, 2023. Joyce and I were in Germany, but we were pretty much in the south. We did go up to Hamburg for 3 days, hung out with Jean Ricard, went to Miniature Wonderland. In fact, that's the only thing I got to do is I got to buy the tickets to Miniature Wonderland, because if you're ever going to go to Germany and go to Miniature Wonderland, if you know you're going, pick your date, but buy your tickets 3 to 6 months in advance at least, because otherwise you could wait in line for 3 hours to get in if you just decide, oh, let's go show up. You'll get in, but it might take you 2-3 hours in the regular admission line. If you buy your tickets in advance, you can pick the day and the time, and you just go straight in. Well, we've been having internet problems upstairs. Down here, ever since I got back from the UK, my internet problems, because I had like 3 live streams in a row after we changed our internet provider, and the first 2 live streams were great, and then I had 3 straight live streams that crashed. And I had to go onto StreamYard. And then now the last 3 or 4, I think 235 was the last one to really be problematic. So, and we just did 241. That's 241 straight Fridays. 241 straight Fridays of doing the show. That's a long time. 241 Fridays without a miss. Is that impressive or not? I don't know. Hey, forever, he got there. All right, good night, forever. He's forever. He got one there. Just broke the 500 mark, so we got you over. It's one of those things. Okay, it's once a week, but it's one of those. In some ways, it's a big deal. In other days, it's like, so freaking what? 241 straight Fridays I've spent here sitting, talking to a camera, staring at myself. And I've done other live streams on top of that, but it's just the Outsider Insider. I had done live streams before I named it the Outsider Insider. And I had done on different days, but once I named it the Outsider Insider and moved it to Fridays, it's been 241. I think I've done 206. Well, not even counting the live streams I do with Arty or the Wacky Weekends without, and the occasional pop-up live stream I've done. So I've done well over close to 300 live streams, but 241 straight Fridays. And the funny thing is, I have demons attacking me all the time. The thing is, there are people that have been here since day one on my Friday live streams. Because last week was the 6th anniversary of the channel being called the Model Train Outsider. I started November. My first video was dropped. The channel was officially named the Model Train Outsider November 8th of 2018. November 8th. So last week, Friday, was the 6th anniversary of this being a model train channel. Yeah, this bothers me. Whoops, I keep hitting the wrong one. Yeah, we need to, I don't know what we could do to get your views up. But I'll just keep giving shout outs. But like, people like on my live stream, people like Tim Dowd, he's been there since day one. He's been in almost every live stream I've ever done from the first one.
I think I've only missed one live stream that you've done, Anthony.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Right. And that was because I think I worked.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I think I worked like 12 hours or something like that, and I was asleep when you went live. So
yeah, and that's why. And to be honest, work is why I picked Fridays, because I came home from work.
Yeah.
Joyce wasn't going to be home for a couple of hours. I had nothing to do. I didn't have to grade papers or anything, so it just made sense. I started going live Fridays at 3:30 because it gave me basically half an hour to come home, change clothes, go to the John, and I would have the train set up, but get the machinery all turned on and ready to go. And then I moved it to 3 o'clock. I think even before it was after I retired. I got nagged by some of my friends on the continent that I was starting at 9 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Could I go early? Even Robert from Robert's Train Set once asked me, could I start earlier because it was close to his bedtime when I started. So I said, well, I got no reason. I can start at 3. But now I've got people nagging me to start at 2 from UK, and I should say nagging, but it's genre card, so it's nagging. Sean Sean Ricard's like the little nagging housewife I never married. He's probably.
I need to speak of that. I need to figure out a way to work John's character into my NASCAR Heat 5 series, the Stanley Steamer.
Oh, get Stanley Steamer in there.
I know there's a way I can do it, but I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Actually, I still think one of the funniest things I did on my channel that's not called Matt Clark or a parody song, because I've done all kinds of funny bits. I mean, my Australian kangaroo hopper challenge answer was darn funny, in my opinion. I find my stuff funny, but they always say that's the sign of a bad comedian if you laugh at your own jokes. But my 1 year anniversary video was funny. That was the video where I had all of my kids did a bit, and Joyce, where they talked about their dad being on YouTube, and they were all doing things, watching TV, and did that. And the joke was, well, it keeps them out of the living room. I got a gnat in here. A gnat, of all things. You've been going 2 years now. Damn it, go away, you son of a bitch. I'm going to do a Fredo on him. No, you shall not get me! No, I got to start. I have been, in my brain, I have been writing a Christmas special, but I have not sat down at the computer and started writing. I was trying to talk myself into doing it this week. I just have not been in the spirits to sit down and try to write comedy. I really got to be in a great mindset to really sit down and write comedy, but I have a month to get it done. If I'm going to do it, I need to start writing, because even though my Christmas special is one episode, it's an hour, which is the equivalent of 5 episodes of Matt Clark. I usually do it as an hour. I don't have to. What windows, John Vinicki? There's no windows to open down here. They're coming up through our sump pump. They're drawn in by our cats because our cat litter is back there. And they come in through the sump pump. But yeah, I really want to get right now, because I think I've got a good idea for a story. I just need to, I've got a basic plot. I've got a basic villain, and I just need to sit down and write it. I just got to have some jokes that make me smile and laugh and get writing. The plot's funny, and I know where I'm going to go with it, because that's what I've been doing, sketching out the plot. I even have the idea for how I want to start it, and then I'll have to start linking things together. But I'm not in a good headspace to try to write comedy right now. And the stuff I've already got some stuff done. Like, I've got a couple of parody songs to put up, but I've been waiting for Joyce to decide she's willing to sing. And she hasn't been in the mood to sing for a while now, and I need her to sing. And then I've got one that I'm going to try to do. And get that one out. But again, it's just, it's not been a happy couple of weeks here. Joyce has just been uber stressed with her job, and she had such an unbelievably busy week. I mean, I really, in some ways I could say the first time I saw Joyce this past week was yesterday, when she finally came down at 5:30. Normally she's here at 5. She was stuck at work sorting out some issues. She's got a couple of real doozy parents this year that are just a pain in the butt. And you have those gnats. No, gnats aren't just drawn to dead mice. That might be put vegetables in the sump pump. I'll have to think about that one. Although I think that voids our warranty.
I know they're attracted to bananas.
Oh, you had a vaccine shot, so yeah, that's Joyce reacts very badly to most vaccine shots. I don't. I get them. The only thing I do is I tend, like, I got the flu shot again this year. I don't usually get the flu shot. Now, I didn't have a flu, but I had something probably cooking in me before I went to Getz, and then it got worse as we left Getz, because I don't think I picked it up at Getz. Some people think I picked it up at Getz. I don't think I did. But yeah, I had something really nasty every time. And the last time I had a nasty flu was 6 months after I got the flu shot. Yeah, that's probably a better one, is put the Gatorade out and just let it set and let the bugs go in it and get trapped in it. Are you hating on my Euro beers? Hey, John. I was just getting ready to start wrapping up today.
Yeah, I actually went up and saw my niece. She had one of her friends over today, and they weren't very talkative today. They decided they wanted to watch TikTok, so I didn't stay up there very long. So
Well, that's always the weird thing when you see people on the internet. You see them once in a while, you know, like your niece, or for years I watched Jim from Hover Motion in the UK. Watched his girls go from like 9 and 12 to 15 and 18. I think they were at 15 and 18 when we met them, or maybe they were 14 and 17 when we met them a couple of years ago. But yeah.
Well, you know, it's crazy to think when I started my channel, Cheyenne was 8 years old. Now she's 13. So,
Eurobeard, I was thinking more Gold Prospector. No, he was talking about Euro beer. He hating on my beers. I like the Euro beers. I do like continental German beers more than I like British beers and ales. Sorry, guys, but I don't know if somebody's referring to the fact that I've started my winter beard. Actually, I wanted to trim it today, but I was in Joyce's way, so I had to keep it. Well, you know, the thing is, a lot of people came back from Getz and talked about being sick the next few days. Now, in Lord Al's case, he was bedridden for 3 days after he got back from Getz, and didn't feel good for a week after that. He was bedridden for 3 days. But, you know, Lord Al pushed himself. He was up late, hanging out with everybody, running around, talking to people, having fans come up and chat him up and talk to him. He didn't rest. So if he did have something, he worked hard. I don't think anybody worked harder at Getz than Lord Al does. You know, I think more people go and talk to Al because he's just so open and friendly. And he will take the time to talk to you. You know, there are people that I was happy to see, and I got to speak to them for a few minutes, but, you know, they let it be known quickly that they had a time limit with you. Where is Clive? I'm assuming Clive is avoiding I think Clive was, if you guys don't know, one of Clive's beloved dogs died, I think, today. So he just had a post on Facebook. Hey, Raymond Anthony, how are you? Yeah, Andy, going back to Getz, and that's another thing Joyce was going to do and has never done, was her reaction video to Getz. She is it's now 5 weeks. It's 5 weeks since Getz, and she still hasn't done it. I was going to do one. I did an immediate one the Sunday night before we left on Monday. I did sort of a live stream, but I was still buzzing. My problem is I was so drained. I was so tired, and obviously starting to feel the real effects of I was not lucid. I watched my live stream, that Sunday live stream I did at Getz, not the Friday night one, the Sunday one I did after Getz was all over. And I was like, wow, I really did not say what I wanted to say. And I wanted to do a video, but I got home and I was sick for 2 weeks. I mean, I was sick for 2 weeks. It started as some sort of a cold or whatever. And then it went bronchitis, sinus infection. And yeah, I was miserable. And I don't think, and it was only in the last couple of weeks that I've really processed Getz to realize, and talking to Christopher about it, because Christopher was just stoked to meet me and have a lot of time with me, because I saw him at Warley and we hung out together the entire time we were at Warley. And then he came to Getz on Sunday and we hung out a lot together, along with no matter how you say it, somebody will take it wrong, and I don't want them to take it wrong. Because there are people I love, like Lord Al, and I didn't get to spend nearly as much time with Lord Al as I wish I could have, but Al has a lot of people that want to spend time with him. But one of my favorite times was when it was at the end of Getz. It was just Christopher, Joyce, Andy, Dino, me, and Andy's son Richard. And most of the crowd had left. It was getting close to closing, but the last half hour to an hour, I don't know how long. Andy, maybe you got a better estimate. I don't know how long it was, but it was just the 6 of us strolling around, 5 or 6 of us strolling around. And that was the calmest. And I was with 3 of the people I most wanted to meet for the first time live. There were so many people I wanted to meet, but and I was thrilled to meet everybody. But obviously, Andy and Dino mean a little bit something more to me, because they've been really big supporters of my channel and what I do, and I've been supporters of theirs. But it was it really was nice. The franticness of the YouTubers getting together and everybody wanting a piece of each other, and I say that in a positive way, wanting just to talk to each other, because a lot of them had to leave. They've got their long train rides or car rides home, so they'd left, and it was just the 6 of us. And even then, we kept breaking up into groups, and I think Andy would tell you there were several times where I'd turn around and one of the guys, one of the YouTubers from the UK was gone, and I was in a panic mode, like, oh my God, I ignored them and they left. I kept doing that. Wait, where's Dino? Where's Dino? Where's Dino? He's right over here, Anthony. Okay. I thought I'd lost Dino, and then, and that he had to leave and we didn't get to say goodbye. Wait, where's Andy? Where's Andy? Where's Andy? Oh, there he is. No, I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. No, I just kept going into panic mode as it was getting close to the end there, because I was so scared. I had turned my back and kept walking and looking at something and ignored somebody, and they had left. And that devastating feeling I had in me was just that paranoia even was building up on me. I had multiple panic attacks when I suddenly lost sight of people. So it just, I mean, sometimes if you can, you got to do something crazy, even if it's break the bank and wonder how you're going to feed yourself when you get home. You got to do something like that. You got to go off and have that experience. And I mean, it was just so overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. And it took weeks for it to really sink in. Or at least once I was healthy, it still took some time for it all to sink in. I just, and I always walk away feeling guilty. Like I had a lot of things I wanted to talk to Mav about, and I got to talk to Mav for about 4 minutes, and then I got pulled away somewhere. I literally got pulled away. Timbersurf kind of pulled me. He said, "Anthony, you've got to come over here and meet this person." I'm like, "But I'm here to, and it's, I don't, my thought is, I'll get back to you, Mav, and then by the time they got done circling me in one place, it was just crazy. It was just absolutely crazy. But the thing is, I'm really jealous is because there was a show this past weekend that a lot of guys went to, and there they all again. They saw each other at Getz, and now they're seeing each other again. And in some cases, the first time they met each other was at Getz, and now here they are 4 weeks, 5 weeks later, and they're meeting again. And I am so jealous of that. I'm so jealous that they get to keep meeting each other, and I'm here in the middle of nowhere, and I can't meet anybody. Even you, because I was telling you about that last week, and it's like one of these days next summer, I would like to promise it, but I hate to promise and then have it broken. But if we can ever find a time where you have like 3-4 days off, we will try and say, can we meet somewhere at the Illinois-Indiana border or something where it's about halfway for the two of us, or if you can only come so far, we will try to get down there. We'll make it a mini vacation for us. And we'll try to get down there and say hello to you because you've been such a good friend and supporter of our channel. And, so we want to do that. I mean, and like I said, that's Joyce too. Joyce is like, we got to go meet him.
Well, it may end up being one of those situations where it was when I met Steve Childers back at the beginning of this year. That was just a chance thing where I got sent to Amarillo, Texas, and I just happened to be coming back through Oklahoma where Steve lived. And we got to talking through text and everything. I said, yeah, I'll be coming through Oklahoma City, a place like that. And we met at the hobby shop down there, and it was great. I mean, it was fantastic. So maybe it'd be one of those situations,
Yeah, well, again, I don't tend to drive that far anymore, but
I almost got sent to New Mexico today.
Oh, wow. That's a good way.
Yeah.
Tell them at least once you want to go east.
They said I would have to get on a plane and fly over there probably. And I was like, yeah. I don't like heights. So.
Neither do I. I hate heights. Yeah, everybody knows that. It's a shame you're on the other side of the world. Yeah, that's true. Although we did go down to Australia. And we will be going back to Australia because, well, two things happened. Arty went on his knees and blubbered so much and cried so much and begged us to come back that we just couldn't say no. And then Arty also had talked so much about, well, you could stop off at Hawaii or you could stop off at Fiji. And then Joyce hit Hawaii by freak of nature. And the worst thing in the world was, Joyce actually kind of scolded me today for telling this story again. Because I was asking her a question about something to Joyce. She's like, you're always talking about, I fall in love with the place and that we have to go there. So I said, no, we hit Hawaii and Joyce was looking around and like, we got to come back here. And I'm like, I could care less about the tropics, but Joyce saw the tropics. So yes, we're going to go back to Australia somehow, some way. We're going to go back to Australia. And apparently we're going to stop off and spend a week in Hawaii. And then we're going to hit the Brisbane area as well as go up. We want to see the Great Barrier Reef. And then we will try to hook up with Arty wherever he'll be living at that time. Yeah, well, the problem is we'll have to look into that, but Arty's or Attila is talking about the price of Fiji Airlines. My problem is I don't trust Fiji Airlines. I don't know why, but I don't. It's a small island. I don't trust them to have a large enough population to go for top-ranked pilots. I know that's a horrible thing to say. They're probably a great airline.
Yeah, it's amazing, Mystic, when you move from one place to another. One place doesn't have hardly any trains, and then you move to an area where there's just trains everywhere. So,
Yep, it's. Joyce fell in love with parts of Australia, but she also has said she could never live there. But yeah, Joyce likes different, and Australia was different, and Australia was so different. Yeah, she loved it. Does she love it more than the UK or Germany? No, but she loved it, and she enjoyed it. She also fell in love with Hawaii for what little said. Joyce does enjoy that because she did not travel as a kid. So, in the last 20 years, 21 years that we started traveling, and even before that, when we started taking our kids across the country, she's loved it because all of her life until she was nearing 40, she had never gone anywhere. The only time she had ever left Toledo, once she went up to Traverse City, Michigan, and once she went over to Chicago, and that was it. She had not really traveled. Oh, I'm sorry. And one time she went down to Virginia to visit her sister. So 3 times before she married me. And then when we married, we didn't go anywhere for years. 2001, we had our first vacation with our kids. Well, no, check that. 1994, we took the kids about 5 hours north of Toledo to a place I used to do. And then we went back in 2000. And then 2002, we really packed up the van and drove across the United States. We did a big circle for 3 weeks through the United States. Yeah, the diversion to Hawaii. And like I said, that was something where I was mad that it happened because it meant more time in the air, because it was going to be a 14-hour flight to begin with. And then it became a 16-hour flight because we did 6 hours to get to Hawaii, including the diversion to Hawaii, which we weren't supposed to go to. We were supposed to go straight to Sydney. And then the next night, we had to get up and do another 10 hours to Australia. But that day in Hawaii was a beautiful day. And yes, Joyce got down to the beach there in Honolulu and just looked around. And she looked at me and says, "We could come here." And so, yeah, that's in the plans. And so, but right now it's Germany. And my thing is, Germany's the place. I've got so many places to go in Germany still, but we're going to do the UK again the following year. And then, so 2025 is Germany. 2026 is the UK again. We want to go back to the UK, and hopefully we'll meet some more people. We're going to do a get together at the York National Railway Museum. Oh, we did see some surfers. The wind wasn't strong enough that you had too many, but there were some surfers there. We even ran into a couple of surfers in Australia, but never saw them really get up on their board and catch the big wave because the waves were cresting and dropping fast. They weren't rolling high. But see, the big thing is Joyce has fallen in love with big water, the oceans, at Honolulu and then in Australia. But yeah, I mean, the funniest one with Joyce was when we were down by Melbourne. It was Black Beach or Black Pearl Beach or something like that. And it was cold, windy, cloudy, and rainy. The waves were swelling, but it was Melbourne, and you were just looking out to the Tasman Sea toward the South Pole, and the waves were crashing. And Joyce normally hates the windy, wet rain. And Joyce went out there, and if Arty were here, he could back it up. Joyce just stood there even I, who consider myself much hardier than Joyce in that regard, I said, this is too much. And I got in the car, and Joyce just stood out there, and she was just like, she was in a trance. She just, all she felt was the ocean. That was all that was there. It was just the ocean. She, deep down, I think a sailor was born in her. And that's also what hit her at Cardiff, is when we were in Cardiff. I always talk about how she fell in love with Cardiff, but really it was the walk down. She loved the town of Cardiff, but that small bay and then the big bay out to the Atlantic Ocean there, she was transfixed. So I think it's really about big water. Well, there you go, Monsville. If you're still near Brisbane when we come over in 2027, we'll come in and see you. We went all the way down and saw our friend Greg from Midsummer Railway. There was no way I was going to go to Australia and not go down and say hi to Greg. Another guy who's been a longtime supporter of my channel. And most importantly, the people that I love the most, if I dare say that, are the people who support my insanity. The people that dig Matt Clark and the parody songs. Typical Melper. Hey, Eric Von Don Eisenbahn. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. I told Joyce I was really going to go just an hour today, and then wham, 2 hours.
There's the Dodge bus right there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I still got to order those. I'm going to get.
I love that thing.
I think they made 3 of them, didn't they?
Yeah, they have. Well, there's 4. There's the regular school bus. There's a New York Police Department, and there's an Army one.
Oh, okay.
So there's actually
4
4 of them.
The hippie and 2 others, and they're all Dodge buses. Yeah, I'm going to order those.
They're all Dodge S600 buses. So
I'm still trying. I got to look that up. I forgot when Dodge stopped making buses. I thought it was mid 70s, but they might have kept going until the late 70s.
It just said 70s era. It didn't say exactly what year these were supposed to represent, but
I just remember, at one time, a couple of buses I rode as a kid were Dodge school buses, and then they were like International Harvester and Fords. Mm-hmm. I was like, what happened to the Dodge buses? And I was like, Dodge got out of them. You just ordered one of the Dodge buses? There you go. Good man. Good man.
That's something I've actually never seen. I've never seen a real one of these. I didn't even know Dodge even made school buses up until now. So,
oh, okay. No, I knew they did, but I knew it had been a long time ago that they stopped making them. I was a much younger lad. Man, I keep trying to bring things up.
The only ones I'd ever seen were the Ford and Chevrolet and GMC ones. So, and then of course the International Harvester and all that.
That's me. I hate flying, and yet to go all the places I like to go, I have to fly. But I will say the drugs my doctor has given me, the trip to Australia and back and the trip to the UK and back have been the calmest I have been on a plane in 15 to 20 years.
Well, I'll say this. If I ever get on a plane, I'd virtually have to be unconscious before I got on one.
Well, that's just it. That's what these pills don't. I have slept on planes, so they're relaxants. They are relaxants. They're not even antidepressants. They're just relaxants. But I tell you, when I'm on a plane and I haven't been on the pills and we have even the slightest bit of turbulence, I'm like, I'm having heart palpitations. Yeah. I am having panic attacks. Joyce has to grab my hand and hold it. And I've been getting worse. That's the problem. Over the last couple of years, they've been getting worse. And I finally talked to my doctor about it. He says, oh, I can give you some for that. And my brain was like, yeah, like any pill's going to work. And he gave it to me. And I was sold on it because we hit some turbulence on the way to Hawaii. And I had actually slept on the plane. I was asleep when we started banking to Hawaii. But we hit some turbulence before I fell asleep. And my arms did not instinctively grab. I still had the thoughts, we're going to crash. Oh my God, we're going to crash. This plane's going to shake apart. We're going to crash. And I'm going to fall to my death, because the fear of heights really is a fear of falling.
Mm-hmm.
and the brain had the thoughts, but my body, instead of going, my body was like, who cares, man?
Maybe
It wasn't like I was that zoned out, but my brain was having the thoughts, but my body was just like, we're chill. I was just relaxed. I wasn't even grabbing. The instinct in the brain to do that move was there for a split second, but then I didn't. And we're having the turbulence, and I'm like, oh yeah, the plane's going to shake apart. We're going to die. And then I realized, holy crap, I'm not panicking. I'm not going into a panic attack. So yeah, and on the way back he gave them to me for Australia, and then to the UK and back. It was the calmest I've been on a plane in a long time. Steve, I have to fly all over. You get to upgrade, so it's not that bad. Yeah, Joyce and I fly economy, and I'm a 6'3", 6'4" kind of guy. I have to fly economy. Although we've upgraded, Delta calls it Comfort Plus. You get 3 extra inches of leg room, and you pay anywhere from $200 to $400 each more for that extra 3 inches. But when you have it and you're my height, it's wow, what a difference. You never thought 3 inches would make a big difference. Well, except in certain things. 6 versus 9, people. No. But yeah, it's that extra 3 inches is worth the money when you can afford it.
Yeah. It's like I've always told people, I said, I know you can die in anything, but I'd rather not be 40,000 feet in the air and know what's happening to you.
People always go, oh, flying is safer than driving. Except when something goes wrong, I'm more likely to walk away from driving than I am from an airplane. Oh, it's safer than driving, except when something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. And plus, you're not in control either.
Yeah, you're not remotely in control of the situation. So, but yeah, it's one of those things. Again, it's like so many things just in the last couple of years of my life. I am just, I've been lucky to travel for the last 20 years. But again, part of that was because I was in an exchange program. So my room and board was paid for. I was fed. Joyce and I never had to pay for anything while we were over there. So all we had to pay for was the airfare. And we just basically used our income tax every year to pay for the trip over there. And it was a field trip. And that's what people got to understand. People say, oh, it's so lovely. You get to spend your vacation every year in Germany. It's like, it wasn't a vacation. It was a field trip. It was the coolest field trip. But Joyce and I were supervising anywhere from 12 to 18 teenagers from the ages of 15 to 18 in a country where the drinking age is 16. And I have to keep these kids in line. I have to check on them. I have to make sure and check with their teachers, how they're behaving. I have to be at the school myself for many functions. I have to appear at a whole bunch of functions, part of my things. So it was a great field trip. I don't complain. I don't regret it at all. And when something went wrong, it was a lot of emotional crap because you're 4,000 ways from home. So a kid gets really sick. Whoops, we had that happen a couple of times. I only had one really problematic kid. I had one kid out of 150 I took that was really created an issue where I could have just happily wrung the kid's neck. But other than that, it was beautiful. But it was, the first time Joyce and I truly traveled, just the two of us, was our trip to Germany in 2017, where we already had the money and the exchange got canceled. And we just said, let's go anyhow. And but we had to pay. We had to pay for all our room and board. We had to pay. Now, fortunately, we stayed with some friends in Bremen for a few days, and we didn't have to pay for that. But once we hit the road, we had to pay for everything, and we had to do that very tight budget. But that's where I discovered Airbnb and found, wow, a lot of cheap things. Yeah. Well, yeah, if you lives in one part of Germany and goes down there, it could be a 9-hour drive. But yeah, it's I've never driven a car overseas, not in Australia, not in the UK, not in Germany. Joyce and I use, well, Arty was our taxi, and in Germany we abused that poor guy. Made him drive us everywhere. But in the UK, it was public transportation or walking. And same in Germany. The difference is Germany is much easier to get around with public transportation than the UK. You can get to the cities by public transportation in the UK, but they just don't have like Germany, where you have the pass, the state ticket, as it's called, where you can ride any train except the high-speed trains, but any train, tram, bus, any public transportation for one price for 20 hours, from 9 in the morning till 3 a.m. the next morning. So that's 18 hours, because there's 6 hours from 3 to 9, 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. where the ticket's not valid. And but that, so yeah, we use public transportation, and Joyce and I, we don't stay in nice hotels or that. We find the least expensive place that doesn't look like cockroaches are sitting at the dinner table. But basically, we just need a room and a bath, and like every other place needs to have a washer so we can do our laundry when we're over in Germany. But we find places where we're spending $30 a night. And we have a bed, a nice bathroom to ourselves, and sometimes breakfast is included. Sometimes it's $50 a night. But now, when we went to Germany last year, it was right after not right after my retirement, but I still had my retirement bonus going, and we did splurge and stay at a couple of nicer apartments. Like we stayed in the Altstadt, the old heart of the city in Freiburg, and had a really nice big apartment, and we paid about $100 a night for that, but it was nice. Yeah, not in many intercontinental highways. Yeah, John, please, please. This is stuff I never like to hear about, even if I'm 6 months away from a flight or 7 months away. Oh, yeah, I had this flight where we almost got tipped over. No, I would be screaming at the top of my lungs in a falsetto voice at that stage. Brad just came in. Hi, Brad.
Having a heart attack. That happened to me.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I've flown, but it never gets easier. People say, oh, after a few flights, it gets easier. No, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
I have flown easily 40, 50 times, which, now Steve flies 40, 50 times in a year. But yeah, it's never gotten easier. Let's see, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 2017. So that's 15, 2019, 2022, 2023, 2024. So 19, where flight there, flight back. So that's 38 times. Plus, some of those flights had multiple flights where we flew from one city, waited a couple hours, caught another flight to another. So yeah, I've had well over 40 flights, and it has not gotten easier. Yeah, if you don't have a fear of flights, it works fine. If yeah, Steve's like, oh, what's really fun is you want fun? Fly with the U.S. Navy. That stop on a flight deck. That was cool. Maybe for those who have that adrenaline junkie sort of thing. I don't. My adrenaline junkie is to stand and look at an amazing mountain from the bottom of it and go, wow, isn't this beautiful? That's my adrenaline rush. Although my other adrenaline rush I got addicted to in Germany is Germany has all these roller coasters that go down the side of mountains. Single cars where you're in your car by yourself and you control your speed. If you never hit the brake, you can get up to like 70 miles an hour. And all you are is in this open little roller coaster car by yourself with, basically a race car seat and seat belt. And it's pretty wild. And they always ask you, how fast are you going to go down the mountain? I'm a coward. I'll probably be hitting the brake a lot because they need to know before they let the next car after you go.
I'd say probably my only adrenaline rush would be going out there trout fishing. That'd be about as much of an adrenaline rush as I'll ever get. So,
well, I will say adrenaline rushes can also now be opening up a really cool box with a train in it.
That too.
Or there's the negative adrenaline rush, which is you're laying down on the floor in the living room, not noticing that your grandson has decided to do a kamikaze on your back.
Oh,
and then when he hits your back, your bad back that doesn't need much to set it off. Opa! Body slam! Thump! Ah! There's an adrenaline rush, and not a good one.
Yeah, that's probably not the good kind of adrenaline rush.
But anyhow, folks, it is 10:15. I'm only an hour and 15 minutes longer than I planned on, so I probably should end this as friendly and nice as the chat has been. But it's my bedtime. I'm an old man. I gotta get my
Z. Too. I'm ready to go to bed too.
There you go. And you're an hour behind us?
It's 9:12 as I'm looking at the clock right now.
At 10. So, all right. Well, anyhow, I am going to call it quits here. And someday Arty will be back here and I can be where Randall is and just go back to making snide comments instead of. I tried to have a couple of things there. Unfortunately, I didn't bring out a pair of pliers to twist the wire on this and see if it would work. So I'll do that tomorrow morning and see if I can get that light to permanently work, because I've toyed with the idea of shoving aluminum foil in there and seeing if that just makes a good contact. So I'll try that too. I'll do both. I'll do some aluminum foil and then a twist tie, punk, 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 and call it good. So anyhow, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I want to thank Randall for coming up and basically there while I babble nonstop and don't let him talk. But
that's fine. Gives me a chance to rest my voice, so I can spout useless stuff on my review videos and whatnot. So.
Well, again, that was a great review video. I enjoyed that.
I appreciate it. So
it was good. I liked it. And Monsville had a great video running some old stuff to Princess Elizabeth. Which I think is funny. Was it named after a different Princess Elizabeth, or was it a model of a locomotive that was named after the future Queen Elizabeth? It's after 2 p.m. there. Yeah, it is, Arty, because you're 16 hours ahead of us, man.
I'll have to check that video out for Monsville.
Yep. But yeah, Monsville's channel is one that frustrates me because their channel, like many channels, should have more subscribers than it does. But if I start promoting one channel, I feel the need to promote everybody's channel. I'm too egalitarian. I don't like to name one channel and not name everybody else. But if I can help somebody, I want to help somebody. So if we can get, we got Forever DC 302. We just got him over 500 before he left. if I can help anybody else. People helped me. People got me shout outs, and I had nice growth. And now I've hit a point where my channel just seems to grow whether I want it to or not. It's growing. My growth rate just a year ago was about 30 a month, and now I'm at 50 to 60 a month. And somebody told me once you get to like 2,000 subscribers, you start growing faster. Lord knows.
I've always heard that first 1,000 is the hardest to get to. So
yeah, I think that's probably true. It took me longer to get to 1,000 than it took me to get to 2,000. Maybe it took me. It took me about 4 years to get to 1,000 and 3 years to get to 2,000. But again, I have no idea why I got as far as I do. I to a degree, I know how I went from 200 to 700 because I started putting out the Miracle and Outsider series and was doing serious stuff. People want to see serious stuff. The minute I started doing live streams and the comedy stuff, it dried off. I mean, it's funny. I've got more subscribers now than ever, but I get fewer views because I don't do anything serious. I'm not building my layout and doing videos on what I'm building on my layout. I do my show. I occasionally show, hey, here's what I did. But I just did a video. Hey, check out this new stuff I got. And it's Beatles stuff and 140 views, which is like half of 1% of my subscribers. I had somebody talking to me. They're like, man, I only get 20, I looked at the algorithms and I only get 20 or 25%. Heath was talking about, he only gets about 40%, 30% of his subscribers watch his videos. And I'm like, I'm lucky if I get 10.
I just put stuff out there, and if people watch it, that's awesome. If not,
Yeah, I obviously do care because I do know the numbers, but it's only because I really keep hoping I would put something that would go viral. The comedian in me, the failed writer in me, the failed stand-up comedian in me just wants to do that one thing that becomes a hit. Before I die, I want to do that one thing that becomes a hit. I want that poem. I want that song. I want that failed entertainer in me. I want that one creation of mine to go viral.
I probably could have had that moment a few years ago when the club president's GG1 went through the barn on the layout and went off on the floor. That probably would have got it, but I was unfortunately too distraught over my own crash on the club layout, the HO layout. So
I'm sure I could get 10,000, 20,000 views if I did a major slag off on somebody in the model, did a major slag rant video, because my most watched videos, at least the top 3, are from the Miracle and Outsider. 2 of them are at like 9,000 to 10,000, and other one's at 8,000. But the 4th most watched video I ever had was a rant. The 5th most watched video I ever did was a negative video, because negative sells. But
yeah.
It is what I need. Yeah, but I don't want to do rants. And even if I do a rant, I don't name names. Other people name the names. But in the end, that's what my channel is now. I like the niche. I am happier with my channel now than I've ever been. And it's not the subscribers. It's the content I'm putting up, because it's my creative content. My Matt Clark stuff, my songs, and then the friends I've made. Gets. If I didn't start doing live streams, there would never been a reason to go to Gets and meet all these people. And that's what it really came down to, meeting the people.
Yep.
Yay, Raymond Anthony. So anyhow, I want to thank you again. I started thanking people and then went on another 10 minutes. That's how I am. That's how I roll. That's my style, Sam.
That's how I roll too.
Sorry, my friend Christopher isn't here. He'd be giggling at that right away. A couple of the Brit guys would get that.
Yeah.
That's my style, Sam. Major Lennox answered with his life, as you should have, sir. Now I'm just waiting to see if somebody pops up and goes, I know what you're doing.
Mhm.
All right. So anyhow, we're going to say goodnight, everybody, for about the 5th time because I am way late. So thank you, Randall.
Yep.
Thank
Appreciate
everybody
it.
that was
Have a good
here.
night.
Sorry to all of you who just came in that I'm cutting out on you, but yes, it is sharp. Very, very good, Andy. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.
See you guys. See you,
Yep.
Anthony.
Bye-bye.